Chapter 2: The Void. Deagan's scream dissolved into the blackness as he fell, swallowed whole by the void. There was no sensation of air, no sense of motion, only the crushing weight of nothing pressing against his chest. It was like drowning in liquid darkness. He clawed at the air, his lungs burning, but there was nothing to grab, nothing to save him. The fall stretched on endlessly. Seconds became minutes. Minutes became something worse, something without name or measure. His heart pounded hard enough to shake his ribs, yet no sound escaped. Even his own breath seemed stolen from him. The darkness whispered, not in one voice but in thousands. A chorus of hisses, screams, laughter, and sobs layered atop each other. "Deagan, Deagan, we have waited. You thought you could outrun us." He clamped his hands over his ears, but the voices weren't around him. They were inside him. They crawled under his skin, wrapping around his bones, coiling into his thoughts. He tried to shout, to curse at them, to demand they stop, but even his own voice betrayed him, lost to the void. Then impact. He slammed into something solid. The pain was instant, a white-hot explosion that consumed every nerve. He convulsed, gasping, but air felt thick like breathing ash. His vision blurred, his limbs trembling violently. For a moment he thought he had died again, but death, he realized, would have been merciful. When the haze lifted, he was sprawled on cold, cracked stone. The ground hissed faintly, glowing in thin red lines where fissures cut through it. He pushed himself up slowly, every movement sending tremors of pain through his body. Above him, the sky churned. It wasn't a sky, not really, more like a swirling ocean of storm clouds and ash, pulsing with faint black veins. Shapes moved behind them, massive and serpentine, too big to be anything he wanted to understand. Occasionally, the clouds flashed with veins of red lightning, each strike illuminating the world in a brief, bloody glow. The air was thick with the stench of burnt metal and rot. Each breath felt like swallowing smoke and razor blades. The horizon stretched endlessly, barren and broken, with jagged rocks jutting upward like skeletal fingers. Rivers of black liquid slithered through the land far away, emitting steam that rose and dissipated into the ashen sky. He stood, legs shaking. His bare feet burned against the stone, each step leaving faint bloody smears. "Where am I?" The thought screamed in his mind. The world answered. A low, guttural growl rolled across the landscape, vibrating the ground beneath him. Then came the voices. Not whispers this time, but screams, distant yet piercing, like thousands of tortured souls crying out at once. They rose and fell, a wailing choir that made the hair on his neck stand. Deagan spun, heart pounding, searching for the source. There was nothing. No one, just the empty wasteland. But the feeling of being watched was undeniable. Every inch of his skin prickled with it, as if countless unseen eyes were studying him, judging him. The air itself felt alive, pressing against him with intent. He began to walk, slow and cautious, each step echoing in the dead silence between the wails. The ground hissed with every movement like it resented his presence. The first shadow appeared when he least expected it. It rose silently from the cracks in the earth, as if the darkness itself had taken shape. It was tall, impossibly thin, its limbs stretching unnaturally as it twitched and jerked like a broken puppet. Its head tilted, too far to one side, as though its neck was made of wet cloth. There was no face, only a void where features should have been, an empty blackness that seemed to suck in the light around it. Deagan froze, his breath caught in his throat. Then another shadow rose. And another. Dozens, gliding silently across the stone, circling him. His chest tightened. His legs screamed at him to run, but terror rooted him to the spot. The first shadow twitched violently, emitting a shriek so sharp it shattered the silence. The sound pierced straight into his skull, tearing at his nerves like claws. The others joined, a chorus of inhuman screams and guttural moans. Deagan snapped, he ran. Deagan's feet tore against the jagged stone, leaving a trail of blood. His breath came in ragged bursts, the air like smoke tearing at his lungs. Behind him, the shadows moved, gliding, twitching, flickering closer with every blink. They didn't run. They didn't need to. They were everywhere. The world around him warped as he fled. The rocks shifted positions. The ground stretched unnaturally, making the distance ahead seem infinite. The sky cracked with red lightning, revealing glimpses of something massive moving inside the clouds, something that had been watching him all along. The whispers began again. Not from behind, not from the shadows. From inside his head. Run, Deagan. Run like you always do. You can't escape what you are. He pressed his hands over his ears as he ran, but the voices only grew louder, overlapping with the sounds of his pounding heart. The shadows shrieked, their cries so sharp he nearly stumbled. One appeared directly in front of him, rising from the ground like smoke solidifying into shape. Its long, clawed fingers stretched toward him. Deagan screamed and dove to the side, rolling across the stone. Pain tore through his shoulder, but adrenaline drove him forward. He scrambled up and kept running, refusing to look back. The air shifted. For a split second, the world flickered, like a glitch in a broken screen. Suddenly, he was somewhere else. He stood in a hospital room dimly lit. Machines beeped softly. The smell of antiseptic filled the air. On the bed, he saw himself. Tubes snaked from his mouth, his chest rose shallowly, his skin pale as wax. His mother sat beside him, her hands clasped, tears streaming silently down her face. "Deagan," she whispered, "please come back to me." The vision blurred, his head pounded, he reached out. And the world snapped back. The wasteland returned, harsher than before. His hand clutched empty air. "Did you think she could save you? She's crying over a corpse. You're already ours." The shadows laughed, their bodies contorting unnaturally as they moved closer. Deagan stumbled toward a cluster of jagged rocks, hopping to climb and gain some distance. His hands gripped the cold stone, scraping raw as he pulled himself up. The shadows hissed below, swarming like ants. One clawed hand shot upward, grabbing his ankle. He kicked wildly, connecting with something solid. The hand recoiled with an inhuman shriek. He climbed higher, his body trembling with effort. At the top, he collapsed, chest heaving, sweat and blood dripping into his eyes. The whispers went silent. Too silent. The air grew cold, not the dry heat of the wasteland, but a chilling cold that crawled beneath his skin. He wasn't alone. Slowly he turned. A figure stood a few feet away. It was cloaked in black, its form tall and thin. The hood concealed its face, but inside the darkness, two faint white lights glowed like distant stars. The ground beneath it blackened with every step it took, as if its presence scorched the world itself. Deagan's voice cracked, "What are you?" The figure's head tilted slightly, like a predator examining prey. "I am the one who waits at the edge of your sins." "What the hell does that mean?" His voice broke into a scream, half anger, half terror. "It means you were always coming here, Deagan. Every lie, every betrayal, every drop of poison you poured into your own life built the road to this place." "No," he said, shaking his head. "This isn't real, this is a dream." The figure's voice dropped lower, resonating through the stone beneath his feet. "You think this is a dream? No, this is what's left when dreams die." The air thickened, suffocating. The sky roared, lightning illuminating the figure's silhouette. "You lived your life recklessly. You destroyed yourself and those around you. You belong here." Deagan backed away, his heels scraping the stone. "No, I'm not done. I can still fix things." The figure raised an arm. Behind it, the ground split wide, glowing with molten red light. From the fissure, clawed hands rose, blackened and burning, grasping toward him. "You have nothing left to fix. You are broken. You are ours." The claws reached for him, their heat blistering his skin. The temptation to give up, just to stop fighting, was almost overwhelming. But somewhere faintly, he heard it. A voice. His mother's voice. "Please, Deagan, don't leave me." His teeth clenched. He glared at the figure. "No, I'm not yours. I'm not done." The figure's voice erupted into a roar that shook the world. "Then suffer, Deagan. Suffer until there is nothing left." The shadows swarmed, lunging at him as the ground crumbled. He slipped, falling backward into the blazing fissure. The light swallowed him, burning and freezing all at once. He screamed until there was no breath left. And the darkness took him again. The fall was different this time. It wasn't the empty, silent drop he had first experienced, it was violent. The darkness itself seemed to tear at him, ripping at his flesh, his mind, his very soul. Jagged streaks of red light flashed past like lightning trapped in liquid night. Each flash revealed glimpses of things in the dark, twisted faces with hollow eyes, hands reaching, teeth gnashing. They whispered to him as he fell. "You were never good enough. Every promise you made, you broke. You were born to rot." The voices overlapped, becoming screams, laughter, sobbing. His hands clawed at his ears, but the sounds were inside him, vibrating his skull. The fall spun into chaos. He was tumbling, twisting, limbs flailing. His chest felt like it was imploding. Then he slammed into something cold and wet. The impact knocked the breath out of him, and he lay there, gasping. His fingers pressed into the ground, sinking into something slimy. When he lifted his hand, it dripped with thick, black sludge that reeked of decay. He gagged, wiping it against his torn shirt. The air here was worse than before. It wasn't just thick, it was alive, crawling into his nose and mouth, suffocating him. The sky above was gone, replaced by a cavernous ceiling of pulsating flesh-like stone, veins glowing faintly with red light. The place stank of rot and burnt meat. Deagan stood, trembling. His legs were shaking violently, but he forced himself to move. Each step made a wet, sickening squelch against the ground. The walls of this pit shifted, as if breathing. The whispers returned. Not distant this time. Right behind him. He spun. The shadows were there again, but they were different, thicker, more solid, their limbs bending at impossible angles. Their faces, or what passed for faces, were shifting voids, sometimes showing distorted reflections of himself. "No," his voice cracked, weak. "Stay away from me." The shadows didn't listen. They never did. They moved slowly, deliberately, their heads tilting in eerie unison. One opened its mouth, and the voice that came out was his own screaming. Deagan bolted. The ground shifted beneath his feet, turning into a slick slope of black slime. He slid, clawing at the walls until he landed in a pool of the same sludge. He staggered out, the liquid clinging to him like tar. From the pool rose something monstrous, a shape too large to fully see, its body made of writhing limbs and faces that screamed in agony. He scrambled backward as the creature's massive arms slammed down where he had been, splattering sludge everywhere. The impact sent a shockwave that nearly knocked him off his feet. The thing roared, a sound like 100 voices screaming at once. Deagan ran, slipping and sliding as the creature's limbs tore through the ground behind him. Each crash shook the cavern, sending chunks of flesh stone raining down. He could barely see, barely breathe. His mind screamed at him to give up, to let the darkness take him. But then flickers. Flashes of light. A hospital room. His mother crying. The beeping of a heart monitor. Deagan, her voice came through, soft but desperate. "Fight, baby, please fight." The vision snapped away, replaced by the red glow of the underworld. He stumbled into an open clearing where the air itself seemed to twist. The walls here were covered in claw marks, like something had tried and failed to escape. The whispers grew louder, merging into a single, low voice that crawled inside his head. You think you can fight us, you think you can win." The cloaked figure appeared again, emerging from the darkness as if it had always been there. Its presence made the entire cavern tremble. The white lights in its hood burned brighter, piercing through the gloom. "You don't understand, Deagan. Every step you take deeper, you become less. Every moment, a piece of you is eaten away." Deagan spat blood, glaring despite the terror choking him. "I'm not yours. I don't care what you say." The figure tilted its head. "You will." It raised an arm. The shadows surged, forming a wall of claws and teeth behind it. "We will break you, and when we do, you will beg to stay." The ground split open once more, and before he could run, the fissure yawned beneath his feet. He fell again, this time screaming not just in fear, but in rage. The last thing he heard before the darkness devoured him was the figure's voice, soft and almost amused. "Fall as long as you can, Deagan. The bottom is waiting.